Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to What's Map, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, today we've got a map which is going to really challenge our maps list editor. Yes, Random 5, talking about you. See, we have a maps list and one of the categories there is type of map. Is it a fantasy map? Is it a real-life location? Is it a realistic map? Well, today we have got a map based on a real location in a fantasy book that is realistic. Pull that one out, Random, if you can. It's one of those. We'll talk about that in a moment. It is also...
It's my first map.
That's right. So there's one to check off your bingo card if you've got a bingo card. If you haven't, go and grab one now. Link is in the description and play along, checking off the memes as we go. No prizes other than being a winner, because you'll be a winner for playing. You'll also be a winner for supporting the channel, and the best way to do that is to respond to the daily reminder. That's right, clicking that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Thank you for your support. Today's map is Gondor by Cities Skylines. Gondor, of course, a location from The Lord of the Rings. A story that I only best know from the movies, because I just can't sit down to read all of that, can I? Have you? Let me know. There's your start square. Here is your terrain heights. Yeah, we have mountains and yeah, all of that. And then, of course, resources. A little bit nibbly here and there, but you know, again, they are pretty much usable. Fishing, if you have Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, we have all of the varieties. I'm liking this fishing map today. Off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, no DLC required today. We've got the realistic 1.4.5 European theme, the realistic 1.2 LUT. There's a few trees and rocks to subscribe to. Other than that, not too much really. Not too much. Pretty dealable. Has got kind of, it does say in the description, kind of a vanilla map. Well, it's a vanilla feel map, but it's not a vanilla map. There are some things to subscribe to. We are going to see the regular trees under the highways. We cover this quite regularly in terms of explaining why it happens on my reviews. If you do play base game rules without the Anarchy mod, this will not show for you. And I'm not too worried about it today, because these trees, whilst hiding under the roads and do take up tree count, the tree count on today's map isn't very high at all. So it's not really something that's going to cause you any problems. Just make sure if you do have Anarchy that you don't have showed trees from the start, and you'll have no problems. I am, of course, going to have to mark the map down on this, but it won't be a problem for you in real terms. Now, I've got to say that actually today's map, or the name of today's map, brought back some really fond memories for me. In a previous life, not literally a previous life obviously, but before I do what I do now, I was, amongst other things, a tobacconist, running a small store where we sold a lot of tobacco, amongst other things. And we got a brand of pipe tobacco over in the UK called Gondor. And obviously Gondor sounds very similar to Gondor, and well, it certainly looks similar in the spelling. And here we go. Hang on, before we go any further, I just want to show you the rail bridge here is lacking a couple of pillars, obviously stuck underneath the highways. I'd like to see them in place there. And our first intersection is one of these three-way things. We will come back and have a look at this a bit later on, because there is a key point of discussion on this particular intersection, despite it being a little bit clunky looking. But yes, we sold tobacco, Gondor being a specific brand, and I had one particular customer who liked Gondor. In fact, he was switched between Gondor and some Bruno ready rubbed. He liked those two brands, and he used to come in with a little note saying. I mean, he was a man of advancing years. He wasn't super old, probably as old as I am now, I would suggest. He would come in with a little note at first because he was profoundly deaf. And he found it very difficult to communicate, so we just put a little note on the counter, which would say Condor or St. Bruno on it, and we would serve him whatever he asked for. And then as we got to know him over the years, he would actually come in and verbalise. Here we go, start square intersection. We'll tell you about verbalisation in a moment. Start square intersection. Start square is up this little dead end up here. And I could deal with the gap between the pillars on that bit, I feel. It's not as bad as the previous one. Then through a little dip there. And up the top here, it starts square up here. It's got a little roundabout in place as well. The clue to the problem with the intersection is also on that roundabout for regulars that are looking out for these things. But yes, so he used to come in and he used to verbalise. He very, very rare he would say anything because obviously he literally couldn't hear a word he was saying. Hang on, blue mantle. There you go. And so he had the deepest voice, and he'd come in and he would say, Condor. Almost literally like that. Oh, look at this. At first glance, this looks quite fun. We've got a little bit of glitchy water there. We've obviously got some vanilla rocks going on, or surface rocks. There you go. We've got surface rocks under there, which is causing that water to be really choppy. Looks really good in the middle of that river. Down the edges, looks pretty bad. Yeah, this is one of those things. You can force the water to do some funny things with not vanilla rocks, with surface rocks. But along those edges, I would suggest water-friendly rocks. So do a little search for water-friendly rocks, or check Zardas's list of rocks. There are others who have done water-friendly rocks, but Zardas started the trend. So go and check out their workshop. Anyway, yes. So yes, I saw Gondor, and in fact, what I saw. First time I said Gondor, it out loud. And I heard myself say it with my manly voice now that I have now as I'm getting older. All I could hear was this guy coming in and Condor, and they brought back some really fond memories. And they weren't all fond memories from that time, but there were definitely some fond memories. We all have a mix of memories, and that little memory of him coming in with his little card with which brand of tobacco he wanted was a fun thing. And a nice thing. And I miss it. I do, I miss it. Rail, we've gone a little bit elevated. We've slightly elevated the outside. This is outside the 25 tiles, so that doesn't really matter so much. We're going to say the same at the other end of this rail line. Between these two ends of the rail line's quite good if you ignore the branches on the branch line. If you ignore that, the rail is pretty good. There is a little bit of glitchy merging of lines, which you probably saw on the first half of the fly through as we're going up towards that first intersection way back. Do you remember way back when the show started? There was a little bit where it was pushed really tightly together, and I think there was some catenary chaos there as well. This part of the rail line is pretty good, and it's going to stay pretty good until we hit the mountains, and then at that point we're kind of going out of the 25 tiles again. And so does it really matter is the question, and I guess that's up to you. Also, I guess it's up to you how you play this. Do you play this one as discussed at the start of the show, as a fantasy map? Are you recreating Gondor from the Lord of the Rings? Hang on, catenary chaos. Yep, there's catenary chaos there, definitely. Are you recreating Lord of the Rings, or are you going to do a realistic city build? Or what? How would you take on this map? I don't know. Rail goes into a cutting here and stays relatively flat. I mean, there is an incline there. I'm not going to show you. I don't think it's so important on today's map that it needs to be shown. But it's gentle enough that it's almost eyeball friendly. I think we could go with that. Trees under the line isn't really eyeball friendly, but again, as discussed previously, if you're playing base game rules, you were not going to have this happen, so I wouldn't worry too much about that one. And then we head up into the mountains. A bit of glitching going on there as we transition into the rocky area. Nice little cutting here. I really like this. And then we go into tunnel mode. At which point, and I quite like all of that, at which point we're still looking good. Slowly but surely edging up in height. And then over the other side, and we're out of the 25 tiles now. And this doesn't really matter too much, but it's still done to a fairly good standard. Right, okay, we'll take a brief intermission. We'll come back for the shipping right after this.
Don't be shy, 'cause I think you're beautiful, and I won't let you forget it. Don't be late, but I'll wait, and life won't bring you down too far, 'cause I just won't let it.
Right, oh, a big thank you, a big shout out to all of my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members as well. Thank you very much. You really do help to keep the channel going. Right, we've got shipping routes, including a little bit of a bump there. I don't know what went wrong there, but we have a wee little bit of a bump. Yeah, okay. Right angle turns as well, going up into those nooks and crannies. But again, does it really? We've got a couple of shipping triangles where I guess it is most matters. And then the ships just come up all the way this way. And then they can go all the way into there with a couple of shipping triangles. And so there are some shipping triangles, there are some not shipping triangles. And we follow the coast. Water flow, we've got the river and it flows. And it flows strongly enough past the start square that I don't think anybody that needs water flow on the base game style map is going to really worry that much about it. I would say that is definitely doable. Thank you very much for that. Sanctity. Sanctity? Should I call you sanguine instead? That's easier. Okay, right, map as a whole. It's got a realistic feel to it. One or two little bits to talk about. Let's start off down this way with a couple of little pre-made fields. Again, a nod to something within the real life lore of the books, no doubt. I don't know the books well enough, but they do. They do. They've spent some time really working on this one, getting that Gondor feel. And I kind of feel it. There are a couple of little areas on the map which remind me of the movies. And we'll have a look at those. A couple of little rocky areas here. Quite fun. And a little... What's this little fantasy shrine area? Okay. That's probably something that I don't know about. Plenty of things I don't know about. Yeah, surface rock pack there. And it does match quite well with the theme. So I think there's credit to be given for matching up themes with rocks. I think it's something that can be often overlooked by lesser creators. Remember, this is my first map as well. So there's things to note here. The tree work as well is pretty decent. We have a mix of trees, and we've seen a lot worse than what we're seeing today. Now, we've already seen a little bit of blue mantle. There is another little bit of blue mantle, splash of blue mantle over here, and there I think there's at least one other location where you'll get a splash of mantle also. These islands, I kind of like the shapes of them, but I don't like the edges. The edges of these just feel a bit too clean for what I feel they should be. A little bit more variation along the edges here, and just cleaning things up would be quite neat. Right, we've got a couple of castles. I think this is the one where the king lives. I think from memory, looking at the shape of that curved wall on the left there, I remember, what's his name, going up on his horse alongside that. What's his name? Yeah, him, that guy. And then this one, isn't this where they had to defend against where the orcs came across the river, and that was the first place they hit before heading up towards it? See, this is how I remember it from the movie. If that reminds me correctly from the movie, I would say that is a good job, well done. If I'm wrong, then it's reminding me of something. It's reminding me of an old boy from the 90s. He's probably passed away by now. I hope he's still with us. He was a lovely guy. Okay, this intersection. I did say this intersection. Have a little look at the 2-lane highways here. These are network extensions 2 highways. Now, network extensions 2 isn't listed on the requirements list, which means, I hate to say it, that if you don't have network extensions 2, which I have to assume you don't because it's not a requirement, this game will be very broken. I mean, literally will not load for you. So check that one out. I've also got the 2-lane highway on the roundabout at the end of the start square. And we have an asset of the day. Can you see it yet? Did you see it early? Because it's been here all the time. It's a VC Lakefront Seawall. Make up your mind. Is it a lakefront or is it a seawall? Come on, Vecchio. Vecchio, tell me. Actually, I love it. I mean, I've said this before. I've used Vecchio's work in the past. Anybody who watched my city build, unfinished city build from a while ago, Duvo, used a lot of Vecchio's assets in that. It's VecchioChristo, by the way. Yes, and factoids, because factoids, good one today, actually. First of all, it dates the book. The book says, Halley's Comet will next be visible in 1986. Actually, for the record, it will next be visible in 2062, meaning in 3 years' time from the time of today's show, if you're watching this in 3 years' time, you're there already, we'll be closer to it returning than last time that we saw it. You feel old now? I know I do. Scary stuff. VC Lakefront Seawall by VecchioChristo. This is lovely. I love it. It just feels really mouldy and mossy and wet and damp, and love it. Do like a little bit of moist. Moist, everybody's favourite word. Moist is relevant when you're talking about cake and no other thing, okay? I think we're there. What do you think of today's map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Click the I button now in the top right hand corner of your screen, or the link in the description. It'll take you to the voting page where you can vote for free with a Facebook, Gmail, Apple, or a Patreon account. But what do I think of today's map? Well, I think aesthetically, it's not a bad job. I'm not going to say it's a pretty map. I'm not going to say that. But it's not totally unappealing. It doesn't fall into 2-star category. I can't give it a high 3 or even a middly 3. But I think it's okay. I'm going to go 3 stars. I'm going to go lowish 3. Detailing, it needs a bit of work, and anything where you get repeated blue mantles is not a winner. Plus a load of trees under the road, even though they don't really matter that much, I have to mark them down. So I'm going to go for a medium high 2. Gameplay potential, I would have given this a reasonable score. But I can't, because technically, under the rules of this show, it's broken. But if you've got network extensions too, you'll have a whale of a time with this. Go ahead and play it. Gondor by Cities Skylines. That is a fantasy, realistic, real-life location. Or not. I would say I would put that down as a realistic map, in case anybody's wondering. I don't know what Random's going to do. They do a great job over on the maps list. That is linked into the description as well. They do a great job, but I would say, I've run out of time to talk about it. Damn it. If you're still here, you're part of the 20 and out elite. Use the word of the day into the comments to score yourself some population points just for fun. I'll be back tomorrow with another map in the What's Map series. Have a great day.